Training camp finally starts today. We have made it as Raiders fans, and I want you to hit that like button if you're a real one and you're pumped for some Raiders football in the month of July. Coming up today here on the Raiders Report, I'm going to get into the training camp news that you need to know today, plus some of the top rookies to watch at Raiders rookie training camp, because it does open today, July 17th. And the fact that it opens today makes me super excited because, don't get me wrong, I love being able to do this show, and I love being able to break it all down for you guys in the offseason, but knowing that actual football is here, it makes me extremely happy. Before I get into the news on today's program, Panda Subs is the proud sponsor here on the Raiders Report. If you go to pandasubs.com, don't worry, that link's down in the comments. It's in the description. I got you covered. Use code Raiders for 20% off, and if you spend over $125, you're going to get free creatine and free shipping if you live in the U.S. Now, I know that there was some speculation and some rumors around the Raiders potentially holding training camp in Napa, and I've talked about it a few times live on the show. I don't know if I've actually ever made a video saying the Raiders aren't going to be doing training camp in Napa, so it's going to be in Henderson, Nevada. The veterans, they are going to end up reporting on July 22nd. Since I don't know if I've actually physically discussed why the reasons the Raiders aren't going there, I went through, dug up some of the things that Pete Carroll, Spy Tech, and the Raiders said over the past 2 months or so. The practice fields in Napa, they require significant work to meet up to NFL standards, so that's probably one of the biggest reasons why the Raiders aren't going to be there. Also, Pete Carroll literally said himself that he thought the team was going to be able to bond together a little bit more as a team, and I think when you're bringing in a new regime and you're trying to get this thing going in the right direction, that's going to be really important. Kind of reminded me, honestly, of Remember the Titans, and I know going to Napa would have been more of the movie where they put them in their own little space. I think that'd be kind of fun to watch, I'm not going to lie. The other reason, though, was preseason game schedule and just overall logistics of being able to move the players in and out. The staff wanted to be able to keep the guys healthy, but those are the reasons why it's staying in Henderson, not Napa. Not to say that it can't happen in the future, but I do think you could see the Raiders potentially go back to Napa since they are already talking about it. So you know what? I wanted to be able to hear how many people have been to a training camp practice, and I bonus points if you mention the year that you went there, because I know Napa was a big part of it. I think it was from that ran all the way up to 2019. They did training camp there. For me personally, I've never been to a Raiders training camp practice, but I was able to go to a practice last year with Taino Raider, David Zahn, Jeremy Chuggs. It was on August 14th. It was probably one of the coolest team versus team practices at Allegiant Stadium, and it's something that I'll remember for a long time. So I'd like to know, how many training camp practices have you been to, and bonus points if you can mention the year. Next up here on the show, I'm going to be breaking down the top 10 rookies to watch at training camp this week. Again, the veterans report on the 22nd. You might see a few second-year guys as well, and it's probably more the bottom of the roster dudes, same players that showed up for Raiders rookie minicamp right after the draft that weren't rookies. Bottom of the roster, practice squad type of dudes. They're also going to be talked about briefly on today's show. Let's go to number 10 here for our top 10 rookies to watch. I'm going to say Charles Grant. And I want to see what Charles Grant looks like. He was somebody that had a 91.2 PFF grade last season in college football, the highest out of any player in college football and offensive tackle. But selfishly, the number one thing that I'm going to be watching for Charles Grant is going to be the development. And if the silver and black come through training camp and they go, oh man, I don't know if Charles Grant's going to be the guy in the future, then you better extend Colton Miller. And that could be one of the reasons why the Raiders are holding up on that extension of Miller. They're so confident in Grant. Maybe Grant's been showing them a lot more than what I've been hearing. I've heard Grant's got some good tools, but I've heard he's a long ways away from being ready to get actual NFL reps. We will wait and see, but I'm going to be watching Charles Grant's development from the Colton Miller side, if that makes sense. Let's go to number 9 here, and got to talk about him. Laki Tasi. I was kind of battling where I was going to put him on this show, and since the Raiders drafted 11 players, not all 11 guys are going to make my top 10. And Tasi was the International Pathway Program player replacing David Agoa. He was brought in as a defensive tackle. They've made him an offensive guard. Actually, the day that I'm making this video, as it stands right now, Jackson Powers-Johnson and Laki Tasi are in Australia right now. I think they're doing some sort of football camp. And I know JPJ is a monstrous human being. Hell, I know Colt Miller is a monstrous human being. He was just right up next to Patty the Batty. Laki Tasi also is a massive, massive human being, and I just want to see how he stacks up against the Las Vegas Raiders. I want to see how he stacks up on the O-line. DT, he's a good athlete. He's a hard-working kid, and I just want to know how our International Pathway Program player looks since we can keep him on the practice squad for nothing, right? Let's go to number 8 here. I'm going to go Cody Lindenburg, and Lindenberg, I want to see if he's still given the green dot. He was given the green dot. I want to say it was during minicamp and OTAs. I believe the first time he was given the green dot, though, was minicamp. And is that going to continue? What does the battle look like between Lindenberg and Eichenberg? Because I do think Tommy Eichenberg, who was drafted in the 5th round last season, is on that roster bubble because of Lindenberg. Now, yes, he was drafted in the 7th round. I know his dad is a longtime Raiders Report watcher. Mr. Lindenberg, what's going on? Appreciate you tuning in. But you got Jermaine Pratt, you got Landon Roberts, you got Devin White. Those 3 linebackers, to me, are going to end up making the team. Lindenberg, I anticipate making the team, but depending on how good he is, if he's not playing at the level that I expect him to play, maybe they decide to keep Eichenberg and maybe move on from Gaynor. But if the Raiders like what they see in Lindenberg, could be bad news for Eichenberg and good news for Amari Gaynor. Let's go to number 7 here, and it's going to be a UDFA, and it's going to be Jah Joyner. I did a video probably a good month ago on a 53-man breakdown by the Athletics' Tashawn Reed, and Tashawn had Jah in his 53-man rotation. I would say that Joyner reminds me of a lesser version of Malcolm Kuntz, where he's not nearly the athlete that Malcolm is, but I do think that they play a kind of like a similar role of you don't want this guy defending the run, but if you allow him to pin his ears back, get north and south, he's good enough to be able to get after the quarterback, and somebody that I had a 5th round grade on. Out of all the UDFAs, I would say the one that's the most likely to make the roster is, in fact, Joyner out of Minnesota. There's a few other names you can at least keep in mind, but for Las Vegas, a team that does really predicate themselves on having a deep defensive line from DT and defensive end, Joyner could be that last guy that ends up squeaking in. Hell, if I did a 53-man roster video today, he might be player 54 or number 53. Let's go to number 6 here, and it's going to be Tommy flippin' Mellott. Wide receiver, quarterback, special teams ace, whatever the hell you want to call him. This guy's a football player. And if you ask him to do, I bet you if the Raiders said, hey, Tommy, I want you to be a long snapper, Bob and Moyer might be a little upset, but he would do it. And he would do it because he's just talented enough to be able to go out there and do whatever the task is at hand. He is a great, great athlete. He's got some of those Julian Edelman connections as well. But to me, are the Raiders using him in the slot? Are the Raiders using him as a wide receiver? Or are they only using him as a kick returner and punt returner? And if they are only using him on special teams, what does that mean for running back Dylan Laube in his future? Because if it's between Mellott and Laube, and I hate to break it to you, Laube fans, I'm going to go with Tommy Mellott. Before I get into my top 5 rookies to watch here at Raiders Rookie Training Camp this week, today's show, again, presented by Panda Subs, and they have this brand new protein, and I know I've talked about it a few times this week already, but I want you to treat yourself to the same delicious, high-quality fuel that you've been obsessed with, now in a faster-absorbing, ultra-lean formula that delivers maximum protein with macro-friendly flavor explosions, making a total delight to hit your daily goals. Flavors that slap like cheat day. I'm talking about peanut butter cookies, chocolate brownie whip, toasted honey graham. If you guys want to let me know down below, out of those 3 flavors, which one would be your favorite, I'd actually be kind of curious to see what you have to say. But we got 25 grams of protein, 110, 120 calories, 0 grams of sugar. And I know that not everybody might have a sweet tooth, and I don't want to make it seem like Panda Subs protein is like super, super sweet, but I do think that it's sweet for some people. I absolutely love it. It's my favorite protein on the market, and it's not close to me. But if you want to try some of their other amazing products, like Alex loves their greens, my wife. I also love their BCAAs to try to stay hydrated in the summer. I love their Thermogenics as a fat burner. It's helped me lose probably like 15 pounds, which you guys probably haven't been able to see. It's because, you know, I try to keep my shirt on, unlike Jeremy. But my weight down here, I've lost a lot of weight due to that Thermogenics. Bottom line is, I love Panda Subs. It's owned and operated by a Raiders fan. They've been a part of our team here for a long time, and if you want to take advantage of this deal, pandasubs.com, code Raiders, 20% off. If you spend $125 and you live in the U.S., free shipping, and you're going to get some free creatine. Let's go to number 5 here for our top rookies to watch, Tonka Hemingway. And I decided to go with Hemingway instead of J.J. Pegues in my top 10. Spoiler alert. I will talk about Pegues here in a little bit, though, because of where he was drafted. Hemingway was drafted in the 4th. Pegues was drafted in the 6th. I have heard from a reliable player, let's leave it like that these guys are doing the right things. It's just there still needs, there's a little bit of growing that still needs to be done for them to be counted on, I think, on a every single game basis. Like, if you were to ask me, Tonka Hemingway, J.J. Pegues, do they get more snaps than Jonnu Lalu and Zachary Carter this season? I actually don't know if that's going to be the case. But because they play tweener, I just want to see that development. I do think that both of these guys are good athletes. Both of these players have the right head and right shoulders, or the right head on those shoulders. There we go. Overall, it's really important for those two guys to take a step up. But Hemingway is going to be the guy I watch just a little bit closer. Here's where I'm going to say there's a tier break. The top 4 players, if you're a Raiders fan and you don't check on these next 4 guys, I'm really going to question if you were to cut your wrist, that sounds weird, would silver and black actually come out? Jeremy's face is like, dude, I can't even believe you just said that. For a guy like Jack Besh, though, coming in here at number 4, he was drafted in the 2nd round. He's been outplayed so far this offseason by Dante Thornton Jr. I don't think that you can dispute that. But Besh is a fun player in terms of what the Raiders are trying to do. He's a good blocker. He's a unselfish player. He has reliable hands. He is a good route runner. He might not wow you in terms of what he does from an athletic standpoint, but he's going to wow you in terms of just being a damn good football player. And earlier in the video, when I was talking about Charles Grant and said, I kind of am looking at Charles Grant because of Colton Miller, same exact thing can be said here about Jack Besh with Jakobi Meyers. If Jack goes out there and does his thing, that could be the reason why the Raiders aren't interested in extending Jakobi. Because what if they look at Besh and go, why would I extend Jakobi Meyers for $20 million when I feel like I have my Jakobi Meyers replacement at a much cheaper price tag? So before I break down the top 3 rookies to watch, I just want to know from you. And I think I know who most people are going to say is the top rookie to watch, and probably going to be number 1 on my video as well. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But I also know that people have different opinions. It's one of the things that I love about Raiders fans. One of the things I love about YouTube. It's one of the things that I love about my job that I have. I want y'all to let me know which rookie you're most excited to watch down in the comment section below. Let's go to number 3 here on my list. Maybe it's Darien Porter. He's going to get an opportunity to start this season on the outside. And if you were to ask Porter before the draft process started what was the number 1 team that he would want to go to, I don't know if he would say the Raiders, because not many guys would say something like that. Not saying like it's the Raiders, it's just you don't see players literally say like that's the team that I want to go to. But knowing the track record that Pete Carroll has with cornerbacks that are literally like him, I don't know how you're not intrigued to watch him. I mean, imagine if I could have told Seahawks fans years ago, hey, this guy's going to turn out to be one of the best cornerbacks of this decade. I think Darien Porter has it up here. Really smart player. He's a sponge. Runs like a flipping gazelle. Battling with Eric Stokes. Battling with Ja'Cory and Bennett. It's going to be a hell of a battle from top to bottom, but Darien Porter's absolutely a guy that I got my eyes on. Coming in here at number 2, Dante Thornton Jr. And if you missed the interview that we had with the Raiders' 4th rounder, it's on the channel. Please go check it out. We talked to Thornton for about 30 minutes, and he chopped it up and answered a lot of questions for the nation. So for Thornton, he's coming into training camp, and he's got a lot of high expectations. He's been deemed by ESPN the Raiders' biggest surprise. He's somebody that I know has a lot of athletic ability, being compared to DK Metcalf and Calvin Johnson. Not from a football standpoint, from an athletic standpoint alone, but for somebody that led college football last season with 25.4 yards per catch and getting hyped up and compared to Martavis Bryant by myself and Max Crosby, Dante Thornton's got a lot of big shoes to fill, and I hope that he's able to answer the call. You got to watch him, though. The dude's an absolute alien. But coming in here at number 1, well, actually, I'll tell you the honorable mentions first, and then I'll tell you the number 1 player. And, you know, I could have threw in a few other UDFAs on this top list, but I decided to just keep it to 5 because I wanted to still be able to break them all down. Cam Miller battling against Aiden O'Connell. That's going to be a fun quarterback battle to watch for a QB2 spot, because I also want to watch that in terms of who's going to go out after Geno Smith or who's going to get a start in that preseason game. I anticipate it's going to be AOC. Mello Dotson was a big winner from the Raiders offseason this year and was one of my top winners out of minicamp and out of rookie minicamp. J.J. Pegues drafted in the 6th round. Anthony Booker, some of y'all might know him as Tank Booker. He's a humongous dude, 6'4", 350 pounds at DT, was a UDFA, and because of the Wilkins concerns, do they decide to just keep a gigantic human being like Booker? The other name I'll throw out there is the Raiders' third rounder, Caleb Rogers, who is a light to be around. I've heard that he's just like glows, and when he walks in a room, he's cracking jokes. People love to be around him. He's got like this, already been stamped. I've heard a few Raiders players tell me he's like a dad out there on the football field, which I respect. Shows a lot of versatility. Still needs to grow up a little bit in terms of being an NFL player to be caliber ready, but somebody that this team does like a lot, and I do think somebody that could be on this roster for a long time. But coming up here, I mean, Chug's even put it in the title. The top rookie to watch is Ashton Jeanty, and if you thought that he wasn't going to be number one on this video, shame on you. If you're mad at me for putting him number one on this video, you're entitled to your opinion. I just think it's wrong. Drafted number 6 overall, somebody that I honestly think should have won the Heisman last season. He is the best running back prospect that I have seen since Saquon Barkley, since Ezekiel Elliott. Somebody that I do think should win the Offensive Rookie of the Year, and I think we could talk about him as being as a top 5 back. I want to see how the Raiders use him in the passing game. Do they continue to try to use him on wheel routes? Do they continue to try to see if he can be a all-down back? I understand that Pete Carroll did say that they're going to go with kind of like a running back by committee, go with a hot hand approach. I just can't imagine there's a hotter hand than Ashton Jeanty on the Las Vegas Raiders. So here one more time are the top rookies to watch at Raiders Rookie Minicamp. Here are the top 5. You can also show the other 5. We got Tonka Hemingway, Jack Besh, Darien Porter, Dante Thornton Jr., Ashton Jeanty, and then the first ones that I started with, Charles Grant, Laki Tasi, Cody Lindenburg, Jah Joyner, Tommy Mellott. Since the Raiders have started rookie practice at training camp, I know that I am at my honeymoon. And I am unable to make a video unless you guys have hit the goals that I set out earlier in videos. But Jeremy Chugs is still going to be able to make you guys a video today. He's also going to make you guys a video tomorrow on anything that happens around Raiders training camp because he's holding it down here while I'm gone.